from a list of like answer a question. Let's try. Let's try to update. It is a complex case. Okay. Get table. Yes. Yes. This is a bit more of what we were expecting.
I did receive one from you right now, if you want.
Nice.
Your radiant, limitless being and your unique qualities make you shine. Embrace your power and trust in your journey, knowing that the universe supports you and your incredible potential.
That is so original, actually. So we mixed the temperature in that automation, and that's why it got him like really. Anyone can automate anything as easy as one sentence. Even a monkey could do it. Am I right? Welcome to today's event. So let's get started. I'm Ivan. I'm the head of community at Bardeen. And today we have a very special community happy hour and workshop where we'll be discussing our newest feature that is called the Magic Box. We will also be going in a Q&A with Giovanni, that is our head of AI. And we will have a small workshop where we'll build automations live with you. I'm going to show you how anyone can automate anything as easy as one sentence. Even a monkey could do it. Am I right? At Bardeen, we're in the business of making automations accessible for everyone, regardless of their technical background. This is going to be such a cool session for you guys to learn how to build automations very fast with our new feature that we'll be announcing, that is the Magic Box. So the Magic Box allows anyone with an AI-based tool to create automations with a single sentence prompt. This will make automation building easier than going into ChatGPT and writing a prompt. It'll make it easier than creating your own automations. And you can think with a sentence and describe it to Bardeen and just input it into your application. So Bardeen allows you to build automations with no code. And right now, it's going to be easier just to write them with a single sentence to turn them into reality. That's what the Magic Box is about, the concept of a box where you can input what you want and it'll do some magic and it'll get you an automation. First thing, how to run it. You got to go to Bardeen. You got to open your app. Let me show you. You will be able to see this new box. It's updated and it's a new feature that you should see in any version from Bardeen version 2.19 upward. And you will see here this new box where you can just input some type of automation and you will be able to get a suggestion to let AI build this automation for you. So the steps are very simple. As you can see, you can just open Bardeen right now and see this in your own apps. You enter the workflow, you click on the button, and it will create the automation. And we're going to see some use cases in a second. It's just that. It's no coding required, it's intuitive, and it's fast. And let's start seeing some examples, right? In the meanwhile, while I go sharing some examples, I want you guys to think about, hey, what can I use this for? What are some ideas you can do? Let's see some examples so you can have an idea of what this is possible to do. So the first one is Santiago that shared on Twitter how he scrapes Twitter users in a Google Sheets. This is a use case in marketing and personal branding. Let's see that. So scrape Twitter users into Google Sheet. So he inputs this and he gets an automation that gets him all his Twitter users directly into a Google Sheet with all his data in less than 1 minute. There's also Rinat who created this automation to automate his process of saving a LinkedIn profile into HubSpot. Let me show you. He just goes into Bardeen, he types script LinkedIn and add HubSpot, and that's it. That's enough input for a new automation to be created that saves your LinkedIn information into a HubSpot contact. Also, HubSpot is our newest integration actually, so you can go out and check it if you're into the sales ecosystem. There's other use cases like meetings. So for instance, I often have a lot of meetings where I forget to create a Zoom link. So you can go over and try this prompt. You can create a Zoom meeting link for my next calendar event and add it to the description. So I already tried it today, so you just have to do this. And here you click on this button and it will do its magic and create a draft automation for you. This is how it looks like. It opens up the automation with the different steps on how it's built. And you can give feedback to Bardeen on whether this flow is built right or wrong. So in this case, this automation will find my next event. It will create a Zoom link for that meeting and then add that link to the description. So it's perfect. This is just what I needed, and it's saved. And now I can run this automation. So for my next meeting, it will create another Zoom link, right? So let's see another example. We also have Giovanni here in the event, and I wanted to invite him to this session. So I want to try this automation out. I want to go to LinkedIn, and I want to go to Giovanni's profile. Whenever you're on LinkedIn, whenever you're on the web and you have an idea of an automation you can save time on, you can simply go here and you can type it into Bardeen. And in this case, I want to generate an outreach email for the current profile with a custom prompt. So I can tell it, hey, I want to invite you to this event. Something to consider is that this is new feature that still has some goods, still has some bads, and there's some prompts that still might not get you any results. So we will test this automation and see if it gets, okay, in this case, it didn't get us any result. I think we can try out later today to find out what is the issue with this one. Yet, to consider that we're going over all the prompts in our newest users. So any prompt that doesn't work, we will probably be there to fix it. Let's try this one out to send an email to the people in the current event about joining late. Let's say Artem wants to join this session and he tries to tell us, hey, I'm running late, right? That's something that happens very often. So instead of going into his email, sending an email, writing it, like that takes 5 minutes, here we're just gonna input it into Bardeen, send an email to the people in the current meeting about running late. And this will use its magic to create an automation. Okay, so let's see the result. So this will find the current event, it will find the participants' emails, and then send an email to those participants about running a few minutes late. So the fascinating thing about this is that not only did it understood what are the actions needed to build this flow, but also it used AI to create the text for this. In this case, it's a very simple text, but you can customize it. If I were to customize something specific in the prompt, like I want you to say this specifically, it will redact with AI the text that you want into the automation. So the last example here on some live demos is this one I tried a couple days ago on Twitter, is generate a daily positive affirmation using OpenAI. Let's say I want to get every day I want to get a message on a positive affirmation. It will generate it with AI and send it to Slack. And right now I'm going to do it as a playbook so it can send me the information right now. Okay, so when a scheduled event occurs, so in this case, it got us most of it, yet still it assumed that
It's daily.
Yeah, it's daily. It's daily. Yeah, I did not edit that. You're right, Giovanni. Thank you. So when a scheduled event occurs, so daily, and it assumes the date is 8 a.m. So this is something I can customize. Then it will generate a text with OpenAI of a positive affirmation. And here, the cool thing is like this will generate a draft I can edit from here. So if I want a different temperature, I want it to be very original. I can modify the temperature. If it's 0.9, maybe it's gonna get me some very original positive affirmations. And I can also change the model that I'm using. So I'm gonna use, in this case, GPT-4, and I'm gonna send a Slack message to who? I can customize this when I run it. This created automatically the ask me every time I need for this automation. So whenever I run it, it will ask me, who do you want to send this to? So let's try it out. I should see it here in the Autobox in a second. I want to run it. And I'm going to send it to Giovanni.
I did receive one from you right now, if you want.
Nice.
Your radiant, limitless being and your unique qualities make you shine. Embrace your power and trust in your journey, knowing that the universe supports you and your incredible potential.
So I've been trying this automation for days, and this has been my result so far. I want to show you the type of information I've gotten from this. I've been getting this, I am capable of achieving my goals, and I am worthy of all good things in life. So those are some of the daily affirmations I've been getting every day. That is so original, actually. So we mixed the temperature in that automation, and that's why it got him like really creative.
It got,
Yeah, exactly. So let's see some other ideas. We created this library of magic prompts, and right now I'm gonna share the live event presentation in this link, so people can also try out this prompts that we're just testing here. So here you can enter into that link, and you can try out the prompts, and you can also find this library that I'm sharing with you today. All right. So here's some magic prompts that we've collected from our own use cases and also from Twitter, because we recently created a magic bot that you basically can input that prompt into Twitter and it will generate an automation for you. I'm going to share a bit more on that later. What does this new feature mean for our users? I want to focus on that right now. So the first big implication of the magic box is that now you can skip directly the how and move into the what. You can simply stop bothering about, hey, how can I get this information? How can I connect this app? So here's an example. Let's say I wanted to summarize the current page using AI and save it into Coda. So let's try it out. This is an automation that Chang of our team tried, and it got her the entire flow built for her. So this used different AI commands. It got her the playbook. So instead of thinking, how do I summarize the current page, you can simply input it into Bardeen. The second biggest implication is that it is faster than building automations from scratch. So here's an example from Rafir that is comparing how long it would take him to build an automation on Zapier versus on Bardeen with this one sentence automation. So he wants to summarize the currently opened website with AI and save it into Google Docs. It took him seconds to build it with the Magic Box, but with Zapier, you would have to go into Zapier, connect, and do an entire flow. The same happens from Zapier and with so many other automation tools, and even Bardeen, because this will make the process of building automations with Bardeen even faster. Because if you have an automation that you have in mind and you can describe it to the Magic Box, instead of building the entire flow yourself, you can simply ask it to the Magic Box. Let's see an example here where you want to save a LinkedIn profile into a Google Sheets. Before, you would have had to create the scraper template, select the different fields, and now the Magic Box will select one of our scrapers from Bardeen and it will input it into this new automation. The big implication here is that Bardeen scrapers are now available for anyone to use, and you don't no longer have to build complex scrapers. You can also leverage the Bardeen build once. So this is an important milestone for the team too, about transitioning all of our scrapers into our users' hands. A good way for you to know what scrapers does Bardeen have is that you can browse our catalog. We have a public catalog at bardeen.ai/playbooks that you can browse and see what are our different automations, and you can see what are our scraper automations. So if you see an automation for LinkedIn or for Crunchbase, that means we probably have Crunchbase automations, and you can take inspiration on our playbooks for you to create your own. The next implication is that it's a quick way to resolve your questions, right? Instead of like before, you will be thinking like, hey, is it possible to do this kind of automation in Bardeen? Now you can simply ask it directly. How can I do this? You can ask, I want to do this, and Bardeen will get you a draft. It can be either a good or a bad draft, but you will know if what you're trying to build is possible with Bardeen's current capabilities. In this example, I had a question from a user on Slack that was asking, how can I get the emails from a LinkedIn profile and save them into Google Sheets? So it got me the draft. I input that question basically into the Magic Box, then I run it, and it got me the draft. From there, I edit it, and that's it. So this is a quick way for you to skip through all the asking, and you can just try it out. You can try it out and see if it can be built. If the output you get is not the expected one, you're also welcome to join our Slack community, and we will give you some advice. All right, so those are some of the biggest implications for our users. I want to also give a shout out to Renat, our content creator, that created a new tutorial on the Magic Box. So you can also head out to YouTube and check the entire tutorial of the Magic Box that talks about some different practices, some examples, and you can see more information about this. And you can also try out the Magic Box from Twitter itself. So this is a new addition that we've created recently, and it's a magic bot on Twitter that you can tag Bardeen, then enter the prompt and tag the magic box, and you will get the automation created for you. So here's an example where Ori from our team inputs create an automation that allows me to save tweets with a right click into Notion. You just tweet it and you will get a response from our Twitter bot with an automation that you can try out. So I want to do a small pause until here, and I want to get any of your thoughts until now before we move on to the FAQ session. Any questions you have so far? Any thoughts about this new feature?
I have just tested it while you were talking. I just went on a random BBC News website. I just went there. If you allow me.
Can you describe the use case, maybe?
Oh, yes. So first of all, I asked it, create a summary of the article and save it to Google Sheets. I misspelled article. I spelled it with an A and L instead of L and E, and it still did it. So it summarized the article. It's added it to Google Sheets. It added the link.
That sounds amazing.
The title of the article as well.
Do you want to share your screen and share the result?
This is what I asked Bardeen to do. Create a summary of the article. I misspelled the article, as you can see, and save it to Google Sheets. This is just the first thing. Obviously, I could have done it in Google Docs as well. This is what Bardeen did. It seemed fine to me. Get the current HTML, convert the HTML to text, get the summary, and add rows to Google Sheets. And this is what it did. It added the title, the URL to the article, and summarized it right here.
Nice. Thank you so much. That's an amazing use case, and thank you for sharing. Now we're gonna be talking with Giovanni. So hi, Giovanni. He has been present on the event. Giovanni is the head of AI of Bardeen. He has a PhD in computer science from Stanford. He has worked in Google and Microsoft and so many other impressive companies. And he's here today to help us solve some questions about the Magic Box. So first off, Giovanni, welcome. I think you're very excited because this was your own creation during months, right?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Yeah, thanks for coming. Very, very excited. Ivan introduced me. I was a PhD student at Stanford for many years, and there I studied essentially this problem. This is a long-standing problem. How do you interpret natural language or English, in the simpler form and turn it into automation? For a long time, we had voice assistants that could, if you think about Alexa, they can do simple things. Now it's finally possible to do more complex, more involved things that require multiple steps, that require, automation, that require understanding things that will happen in the future. It's really exciting. It's something that has been possible with the new advancement of AIs, and we're happy to bring it to you in this release.
We've created some questions so far in the Slido. And I think we also have some new questions from the audience. But if anyone wants to step up right now and ask their question directly, also feel free to do so.
Yes. So would there be like a voice to text where I can, let's say I would like to press a shortcut, say the prompt that I want, and it just turns it into text and then turns it into automation?
Oh, that's an interesting. We haven't considered it yet, but that's some feature we could consider.
Voice is tricky because it's very tricky to, think ahead of time of what the automation will be, and it's very easy to rumble when you're doing voice, and it becomes a lot harder for a system to understand what you want. Text, it's a bit more involved, but it gets you more reliable results.
We do have some ideas from the community lately on being able to support, inputting an audio or being able to convert an audio into an automation. I think we right now have a command that allows you to work with audio right now, right? Create an audio from a text.
So we do have text to speech. We have actually two versions of text to speech. One that uses the browser and one that generates the MP3. Don't actually remember if we have speech to text, but we could definitely add it.
Okay, let's continue with some of the questions from our Slido. So one very interesting question here is, how does the Magic Box compare to other automation tools on the market? Right now, there's different tools that are coming up related to automations, like the plugins for ChatGPT, like different automation tools. How do you think the Magic Box compares to the other tools?
I think our main difference, which is really a philosophical difference, is that we're after reliability, we're after interpretability. So we have built our technology so that the output is still a playbook. It's still a playbook that works in exactly the same way. You're already familiar with Bardeen. It goes in the same builder. You can see what it does. You can edit what it does. You can be confident. And once you've created it, it's there. It's going to run just like a plain old playbook in Bardeen, which is quite different than the philosophy taken from ChatGPT plugins or even the more recent works in GPT Agent, where the model is running its model is running over the data. You have a large spreadsheet that you need to process. You have a lot of rows. You have a lot of data. You create the automation in Magic Box with Bardeen. You know that if it runs for the first row, it runs for all the rows exactly the same way because it's reliable. With something like a GPT agent or some of the more out there demos, there is a chance that it will start failing, and that's also why some of the agent demos require you to look step by step, verify step by step. And if I have to look for every row what it's doing, it's not much of automation. Whereas we want to be able to, yes, I have to look, I have to check what it does. I check it once and then I run it. And I keep running the same playbook over and over again. That's automation.
And related to the ChatGPT agents, I think that's an interesting topic. We also have a question on this. What is your hot take on the new GPT agents and how they will change the landscape? I think especially how will Bardeen consider this? What should we take into consideration about this new AI possibilities?
If you ask me on Twitter, I will give you the hot take. In a more public forum, I will say that it's very early to actually give a really confident and secure prediction of what's going to happen because AI is moving really, really fast. But I think I'm not the only one to observe that running the agents at runtime or requiring multiple agent calls for every step that the agent does, it's really expensive, from a computational, from a cost, from an environmental point of view, even, it's just not practical. Anytime you can do that with a computer, not with an agent, you should do it. But there are things you're classifying your emails, or you're, interpreting the text, or you're creating, an email draft, or anything that requires intelligence that cannot be done with simple logic, then you should involve OpenAI, even in the automation. It should be self-contained. It should be interpretable. That's what we are trying to do with Magic Box.
And also right now it's available for all of our users. And we have a question here. Do you have to pay Bardeen Pro to use this feature? And what do you have to pay for right now?
Well, right now it's available for everyone. Oh, Alton left, but you can confirm. I don't think we have a plan right now to make it a paid feature. We want to encourage people to create playbooks. We want to encourage people to create automations. And so Magic Box, as far as I know, will remain available. Will remain available for free and trial users as well.
Let me compliment there. So far, we have thoughts on making the Magic Box free, but do consider that some automations will consume Bardeen credits. So if you create an automation that uses OpenAI, for example, this is a premium integration, this will start consuming Bardeen credits, and eventually you can run out of Bardeen free credits and you might need to upgrade to a pro account. Right now, we're in the process of introducing this credit system and this pricing system to Bardeen. So do watch out on any new announcements. But right now we're deploying it to our user base. Another question is, what are the current limitations that you've found so far from this feature?
So one thing that we're working on, and is currently a limitation, is context awareness. It's gonna get better. So already it knows the available scrapers. It knows what what you're trying to scrape. It knows your contacts, but it doesn't, for example, know which specific LinkedIn page you're on. So if you ask it to scrape LinkedIn, it might pick the wrong LinkedIn scraper based on, so you have to specifically say, I want a LinkedIn profile, a LinkedIn company, a LinkedIn search, and then it will find the right LinkedIn scraper. So context awareness is one limitation. The other is just high level planning. If you ask a very, very, very high level, they require a lot of steps. very high level automation. It may or may not get what you want. That, being explicit and just trying to break it down step by step helps a lot. That's also something that we're going to work on, but it's hard just because it gets a lot more ambiguous, right? It might be correct, but it might not what we have in mind if you just give it a very high level goal. The other thing, just in general, lots of details like names, emails, phone numbers. Those are meant to work, but those don't always work. So that's something that's definitely going to be fixed very quickly, but it's right now a bit of a limitation.
I'm sure with the progress the AI team is doing with like some of these will be improved very soon. And I think you also responded with one question from the audience. If do you think learning about prompt engineering will help use the magic box?
I think it helps to put it in the mindset that the computer might interpret your commands wrong. Like, if you work with ChatGPT, you give it something sensible and then it interprets it however it wants it. And that, unfortunately, it's not how humans work. Humans, interpret based on social clues, based on context, based on, all sort of other signals that are not just text. The magic box doesn't have that, so that helps. Overall, in terms of prompting style, I would recommend just being somewhat similar to how our catalog works. That has what we initially trained on, and that has been what people have, early adopter and user testers and people we saw the feature in the early stages were tried on. So that's the kind of commands that work the best. So really, command style rather than I'd like to style helps.
Yeah. I want to invite anyone on the audience. If Federico or Fernando have a question, you're also welcome to join the discussion. We also have a question here from Anonymous that would it be able to scrape the whole LinkedIn page? As we saw during the presentation, the magic box now allows you to access Bardeen scrapers. If you create a magic box automation that gets LinkedIn profile data, then you should be able to scrape the LinkedIn page and get all the fields you need from our existing scraper. You can also add additional actions to that automation. You can see what are the different fields that you get from that scraper. But if you want to share more details on what the whole LinkedIn page means, that can also be very, very useful. But our current scrapers, they have access to most of the fields. Would it do it to individual items as the scraper would do, or the whole info? Giovanni, do you want to answer this one? I think there's two ways to get data from LinkedIn, right?
Right. I mean, there's actually, couple different ways. Like, once again, the important thing to consider is that Magic Box is just an entry point into Bardeen automations. And so just broadly within Bardeen, if you think about how you extract data from LinkedIn, you can use a catalog scraper that will give you the pieces of information that it's using the selectors that we have curated, that we are, those pieces of information in our catalog. You can create your own scraper, so you can go and click on the information you care about. You can extract all the text on the current page, so that's another option. And so that will give you basically the entire page, including links, including a little bit of extra information, but stripping out most of the HTML. You can summarize that. That also, we saw that how to summarize a current article, and you can access that through Magic Box. You can ask OpenAI to create a table out of text. So you can convert the page into text and then ask OpenAI to extract specific pieces of information. That is sort of an alternative to a traditional scraper. Can access information that is hard to scrape, although it might be less reliable, and we are working to make that functionality more reliable and potentially integrated with the rest of the scraper. All of this in general is accessible through Magic Box. You might need to be a bit more explicit in how you phrase it. Like, instead of saying scrape LinkedIn, you might have to construct a table with OpenAI from this LinkedIn page and specify the columns. Like, you have to be a bit more explicit if you want a specific way to extract information, but those are available.
Also, we have a question from Manuel. Do we have a list of apps we can use? And do we have a roadmap? Yes, we do have integrations. And let me show you real quick on the app how you can find the apps that we have. So you can go to Bardeen, and you can, whenever you're creating a playbook, you can see on the sidebar your current apps and the different apps that are available So these are the apps that you can find, and you can find them from the app, or you can also go to bardeen.ai/integrations and see all of our integrations and different playbook automations for them. So you can also find templates that you can start trying out. So for your table, for instance, you can find a lot of mixes of, for instance, this one, copy a LinkedIn company data to Airtable. So those are a bit more Bardeen related questions that we can also discuss them, and you can share them anytime on the community. Dion also asked if are we able to create a new document with names to save data instead of writing the same document every time? Yes, that is also possible. You can also create new documents with dynamic names. So for instance, if you were to create Google Doc, this also applies to most of our apps. You can either use Ask Me Every Time, and whenever you run it, you will specify the name of the Google Sheets you wanna input, or you can also, for instance, use create a new Google Doc with the name, and here you can use our different commands. So for instance, I want to use the current date, and I'm going to use the current date. So I could be able to create a new Google Doc with dynamic name. So you can combine the different actions inside Bardeen to use dynamic data. So we also have a tutorial on merge text that can also be very helpful for this type of questions. What are some good practices, Giovanni? What do you think are good practices for you to make the best out of the Magic Box?
I think, I touched earlier a little bit. Being explicit helps, like, breaking down into sort of simpler steps. If you see something that is relevant, but not exactly what you want in the catalog, then using wording that is close to the catalog helps a lot. So basically, take a catalog title, a catalog prompt, and just change it to fit to your needs. That is going to work typically.
Yeah, that is particularly
if I may
useful.
add, Ivan.
Yeah, go ahead. Hello,
I
Artem.
think. Hey, hey everyone. I'm Artem. I'm one of the co-founders of Bardeen. The way I think about Magic Box is like, if anyone remembers, like Google in early days, like in 2002 or like 3. Basically, back then, you rarely got what you were looking for from the first try. It always got you like 2 or 3 iterations. And Magic Box is, I think, similar. That, I mean, we measured, like Giovanni measured accuracy of very kind of, scientifically. And we know that like 7 or 8 out of 10 times it works, which basically means that on average, if you want to do something if you wanted to do something precisely what you want, on average it takes like more than 1 attempt. And that's why the way we built it, you will notice, is that when you type something into the Magic Box, it gives you the first version, and then the prompt is still there. You can modify the prompt and hit update button and kind of iterate a bit, right? And normally, at least for me, it takes like 2 or 3 iterations to do this, and you just need to kind of play with it to get an intuition. Sometimes, for instance, I say every Monday at 8 a.m. do something, and it doesn't do exactly what I want, and then I move this every Monday to the very end, and then it kind of adjusts and does exactly what's required. So I would suggest to kind of very heavily use this update functionality. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that there is basically a reason why there is a builder, because we know that it's extremely hard to get 100% accurate. And that's why we have a builder where you can basically, if it's not doing precisely what you want, it should be fairly easy to kind of do this like micro adjustments, because the shape of the automation, like, most of the time it gets precisely. And then you just need to do this like micro adjustment. So that's how I would treat it. And it will get better with time. And share feedback. We read each and every support email. We reach each and every, like those forms that you see on the website inside the product. We go over every single one of them. So yeah, just help us make it better. Share your experience with us.
I want to move on and try to get everyone here to build an automation, right? We've already understood and we have learned and we have seen some examples. So now let's try to share some prompt ideas. Some small creative inputs are think about what are your most used apps and what are the most common repetitive tasks you do on them, right? So here I'm going to think, I use calendar a lot. Another thing you can do is browse the playbooks in Bardeen for ideas. I'm going to go directly to the Slido and we can see some of the ideas here. Share your prompt ideas. So exactly, that's better. Scrape Instagram influencer top information on certain topics. Remember that single words will probably fail if you input them into Bardeen. If you input message, you might also not get a result. So remember to share the entire prompt here. LinkedIn, we have profile, we have message. Should we do a customized LinkedIn profile message? What do you think? That's possible? I think we can try that. Let's try to customize a LinkedIn profile message for someone. So I'm gonna go to Bardeen and I'm gonna input here. Giovanni, you can correct me anytime if there's something more accurate that we can do here. But in this case, I wanna write an introductory message to Giovanni. So I'm gonna ask create introduction message for the current LinkedIn profile. And yeah, okay. So let's say I'm connecting with a lot of profiles every day. This is actually something that happens and you want to customize that message. So let's try it out. I think this is the cursor that Dion was talking about.
You're not sure if it's loading. Is it doing something or is it just hanging?
Yeah.
And
right.
there is unfortunately a bug that is unfortunately specific to events profile, but we will debug.
Does it work? Does it work on your end?
I can try on if I can share my screen.
Yep. All right. Let's see some other ideas here. If anyone wants to try,
there is a prompt that was shared
in the chat. Okay, nice. We have here, grab the following profile and ask ChatGPT to create a personalized message for this profile, a senior engineer position at Microsoft. I don't fully understand what the personalized message is for, but we can try to input it and see what is the result. In this case, I think it's a good example of taking inspiration from Bardeen's playbooks. So we have existing playbooks that are called, for instance, get current page information. Let's see some examples in the playbooks of OpenAI, and we can filter our OpenAI, and we can see some of the customizations we've done. So in this case, outreach, we have some examples here, like create an AI outreach email for the currently open LinkedIn profile. So in this case, from Juan, we can probably modify that prompt a little bit so it's a bit more clear what you want to do with that message. Let's see any other prompts we want to test here. Feel free to share directly. We also have ChatGPT, position, vendors, information, questions. In my case, there's a common automation that I have to do. There's a common workflow that I have to do is create a new FAQ in Notion. So I'm going to try it right now. I want to create a custom FAQ, create a new row for an FAQ in my Notion database. This is a kind of simple prompt, and what I wanted to do is create a new row, a new page for an FAQ. So this worked, and it got me here the most of it. So it got me the database. Here I can input my question and the answer. So I'm gonna use this here. I think the object issue is the only thing that was missing. But I can edit it, fortunately, and now I can run the automation. So let's try it out. I'm gonna create a new FAQ. And the database, I have an FAQ database in Notion, website FAQs. The question is how to use the magic box. And the answer is just input a sentence. Now I'm going to run this, and it should be able to create this in my Notion database. All right, we also have another use case here. Get me the industry of this website and the summary of what it does and add it to Google Sheet. The industry. Francisco, do you want to share a bit more on this? Like, is it for a LinkedIn page? This one worked. Nice. So it got me a new page created. Let me
It
see.
can be it can be even with like every web page. Get, for example, like Bardeen.
Any web
Tell me
page.
about what it does.
Let's try it out. We actually do have an AI command that allows you to recognize, like from the current page information, recognize things like the industry. Or we can also we have answer a question from a website. That's another way we can also create this type of automation to find the industry of a website and add it to the Google Sheet. But we're going to try it out with the magic box. But this is an automation we can definitely build with Bardeen. Let's see if the magic box get me the industry. Let's modify this a bit. Giovanni, do you want to help me modify this prompt?
Well, let's try. I want to try it right just like this first. I want to see.
I mean, it's part of the process at the end. Like you want to like test it out and then start building
let's try it out.
Get the...
That's good. Let's try it out. Let's modify it from there.
It might give you a closer answer. It did scrape data on active tab, so it expects you to find a scraper, which is not quite right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would write it explicitly, get the text from the current page, then answer the question, what is the industry of this website, and summarize the answer in a Google Sheet. Like, I will really make it explicit. Answer the question, what is the industry of this website?
And what it does, and add it to Google Sheets. Let's try it out. Let's update. This is the update feature that we were talking about. And let's try it out again. And what we changed was get the text, right?
Yeah, so now we picked up, get the text, get answer about a paragraph, what is the industry of this website and what it does, and then it adds rows to Google Sheet.
Nice.
So this is closer.
Yeah, this is closer. And add rows to Google Sheets. And it will add the link, the name, and the answer. Let's try it out. Let's try it out just as it is. I think the output might be accurate. Let's try it out. So I'm gonna create a new Google Sheet with the name industry test, and I'm gonna run this. And this will get the data from the current page. It will then answer from that information. It will answer the question, and it will create a new Google Sheet. And let's see. This website is about Bardeen AI. The industry of the website is not explicitly mentioned. That's fair
fine,
enough.
though. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, yeah.
If the industry was somewhere or it could have been inferred, then it could probably get you a good answer. So if you try this over a Crunchbase, maybe if we go to the Crunchbase.
Yeah, you can probably try with every company. Yeah,
maybe it'll probably get you some type of result, right? Yeah. So this was super cool example on how we can iterate from there. Any other cool example?
There's a good question there, Ivan. Like, can it add rows to the Google Sheet, understanding which column to add information and scrap it? Like, if I want the example that the industry on a specific column, now, can I modify it later?
Yeah, so you can go into the builder and change the name of the columns.
So
for other tools like Notion, Airtable, and Coda, the moment you select the sheet or the table you're writing to, you would also select the mapping of the columns.
Perfect.
We don't have that feature yet for Google Sheets for technical reasons. We are working on it, and we'll eventually have that be able to map.
The industry prompt actually worked for me on a news website. I've run it on the BBC News. I think it's almost similar to what you did. But for me, it says the industry of this website is news. It does. The website provides news articles of various topics from around the world.
Nice. Yeah, I think the most precise you can be. We can probably iterate this to be like, get me the industry in only one word, or in a list of comma-separated items. And let's say you want to get me all the industries related to this page, and then you can get a list of labels that you can input into your Notion. So that's those are ways you can iterate the prompt to get different results. We also have another user here that was hoping to get some help. Michael, if you want to step up, we can check your use case.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, so one of the things that I'm a channels consultant, and I work with new and upcoming SaaS vendors to try and help them build out partnership programs. And one of the things that they sometimes do is they'll provide me a list of, when I get leads of, hey, here's a list of like 25 or 30 vendors, want to know whether or not they have a partner program. right? An affiliate referral or resale program, and it's just a pain to try and go and figure that out, right? And of course, even using Chat GPT, right? It's only up to 2021, so trying to figure out a way to be able to do that, and then to take that information and put that into a usable spreadsheet. And at the ultimate at the end is do they have one, yes or no, and make that determination, right? Yes, they do, right? Have a partner program.
Okay, I actually have an automation for you, and also a similar example. So a couple of weeks ago, we were helping an entrepreneur that had a very similar use case of getting into websites and answering questions from that website. From websites, and we created this automation that basically does that, and that's exactly what you're trying to do. So this is like an image that shows what he was trying to do is get information from grant tracking from grant websites. So from like when there's a startup grant, there's a website for every startup grant, and he had to answer a bunch of questions that were basically on a Google Sheet, right? Like the name of the project, the description, the requisites to apply, the link, the action items, and we were able to answer those questions from the different columns with Bardeen. So let's see this example, and you should also be able to change it for your own use case of checking data from the vendors, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to pin this automation, and I'm going to show you how it's built. And I'm just going to send it here. Also get data from an application website, and you can also see how it's built, and there's a demo for it. I think you can also go through that example at your own time. Let's see if it's pinned here. All right. So the way you would do something like this, like extract data from a website and from there save it into Google Sheets. So you get data from the website. We have a couple commands to, for instance, get the current page URL, then also get data from that tab, then get data from the HTML of that website, and then start responding things like, in this case, get a summary, get action items from that website. And you can also use our AI to, for instance, you can respond a question out of that summary or out of the text that is extracted of that website, and then you should be able to save all of those data points into the Google Sheet or the database you're using. So in your case, I think most of this would, like some of it would work, like maybe the summary of the website would be useful. In your case, you would need to answer for a specific question, right? That is,
or else if I started with a Google Sheet or a list, right? Because I might have 10 instead of having to put in one at a time. Could you provided a list or?
You can also run it over a list of items. So instead of getting the current page URL, so let's say you wanted to do so, you would. What if we prompt it into Magic Box? Let's try it out. I don't want to build it. Let's just prompt it.
Answer a question over the text of websites gotten from a column of Google Sheets, should we? Guess I'll use the link.
Right. I mean, start with the list of of the companies, for example. I wanted for it to determine if they have that information or extract that information, right?
I think one thing I would say is if you want to do any automation, it's very good to sit down with a piece of paper and just map out the steps you take as a human, and then try to summarize them. So, as he's doing at the moment, get page data from the list of links from Google Sheets. So you're telling it where to go, what to do. Okay, so it knows that it needs to open the Google Sheets, find the links. So it's going to prompt you, okay, select the Google Sheets that you want me to get these links from. The links is going to find the links. So you need to be able to map out your steps as a human to be able to automate them.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that's accurate. Like if you get some thought into the automation and what are the steps to do that, then it's going to be easier for you to describe it into Bardeen, and then you might get it. So here's an example. Like I told it very specifically, like get page data from a list of links. So in this case, it misunderstood me a bit because I want to get website text from a list of links. And this should change the logic a bit from a list of answer question. That's right. Let's try to update. It is a complex case. Okay, get table. Yes. Yes. This is a bit more of what we were expecting.
Yeah.
So in this case, it gets the table from Google Sheets. So let's say you have a list of URLs of vendors, right? And then it will find all the links in this Google Sheet. Then it will get the page's HTML. So it will get the text out of all of those links, and then it will answer a question. And here's the question. Here's the magic. Is like, what is the question you want to answer? Is this does this website have vendor? What was it? Partnership?
Partnership program.
Answer in terms of no. Like you can customize it however you want. You can get it to answer as yes or no.
Seems like he ran out of battery. His headphones.
Yeah, Ivan, we cannot hear you. Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I lost my audio for a second. Sorry. And this will answer then the question out of that data, and it will save it into Google Sheets. So that's the entire logic. And this would have taken me, to be honest, like 2 or 3 minutes to build. And this prompt allowed me to build it in 2 iterations. That, like, for complex automation, it's not that bad, to be honest. Like two iterations in a minute. So this you can try out. Let me just share the automation, and you can see how you build it from here. The important thing to know, though, is like, don't run away from the builder, because it will get very comfortable to use the magic box. But the more you know about Bardeen's actions, the better you can describe them to the magic box. So if you only rely on the magic box, it's going to be hard for the magic box to understand what you want sometimes. So when you learn, like, hey, these are the actions that you can do, these are some examples, these are use cases. If you explore Bardeen's automations, you will learn what are the names of those actions, and you can be more concise on how you input this.
Okay.
I think you can try it out. Anyone else wants to have a question?
I'm sorry, I may have missed this in the beginning, but how do you add in the integration into ChatGPT? Because I do have premium ChatGPT. How do I add that integration in? Because I didn't see that in the video.
Just for context, we have a direct integration with OpenAI, but you don't have to integrate it with ChatGPT. So it runs entirely from.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't have to open it. Okay.
Yeah. We're a bit over time right now, so feel free to drop. And this is just the overtime moment where whoever wants to stay, we can share some automations. But overall, thank you so much for everyone for participating today. Don't forget to share the event on social, to share the news on social. And right now, whoever wants to stay a bit extra and we can share, you can share your use case, we can build some automations, feel free to do so. But thank you so much for participating in today, and that was the wrap up of the community event.